Welcome back, friends. If you're joining me for the first time today, listen to part 1 of my conversation with Maria Walther first, season 5, episode 21. I'll wait right here. For those of you who are back for part 2, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. In part 1, Maria and I dug into shared reading and how to shake it up using picture books you already have. It was so good. But today we are talking about Read Aloud. And I know what some of you might be thinking. Olivia, I already know about Read Aloud. I read to my kids. But here's the thing. Are you reading real books in your hands? Or are you pressing play on a video because there's no time for anything else? Here's what Maria is going to help us understand today. Read Aloud is not a luxury. It's not an add-on. It's not something we do when we have extra time. It's a critical part of our day. It's a gift that builds vocabulary, comprehension, and the kind of connection between you and your students that no curriculum or program can replicate. We're going to talk about how to strategically plan read-alouds, even when you're working with a published curriculum. Maria is going to share her Monday and Friday sandwich strategy that's going to blow your mind. And she's going to remind us why holding a real book in our hands and reading it to children matters more than we might realize. So settle in and let me reintroduce you to the power of Read Aloud. Here's part 2 of my conversation with Maria Walther. This is Schoolutions Teaching Strategies, the podcast that extends education beyond the classroom. A show that isn't just theory, but practical, try-it-tomorrow approaches for educators and caregivers to ensure every student finds their spark and receives the support they need to thrive. Hello, listeners. I am so excited to be back with our Friday part 2. I am here with Maria Walther. If you have not listened to part 1 of our conversation, please pause this episode, go back, it's below this one, and then come back to this conversation. Maria, you kicked off part 1 by explaining why we need to shake up shared reading. We also danced between the bridge from interactive read aloud to shared reading and gave listeners that bigger picture. You even explained how to take a read aloud experience and nurture it into a shared reading experience, a short burst. So, listeners, you've got to listen to part 1. Part 2, I asked you if you could go much more in depth with Read Aloud. Read Aloud for teachers that have published curricula options they have to use. What do we do when we're planning a Read Aloud? We need Read Aloud to be back on people's minds. It is the heart for our children to connect. So thank you for joining me for part 2 of our conversation.
You're welcome, Libby. All right, this is my favorite topic. So here we go.
Here we go. So
There we go.
I'd love for you to take listeners through a Monday through Friday of how you can marry your favorite picture books with a published curriculum.
Okay, I've been doing a lot of this work with teachers using many different published curricula. And what we have found that works the best is to select a picture book for Monday that you would use to introduce the concept, the topic, or the big idea or theme of that week in the curricula. And I've done this with kindergarten teachers, fifth grade teachers. You can find a picture book to illuminate just about any topic or concept. Read that picture book as your introduction to the week. Then continue with what the program says for Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. On Friday, find a different picture book that you can compare and contrast with the main text for that week. And that offers benefits for students to synthesize their understandings. It offers you, if you chose to, they can do some kind of a compare and contrast, a Venn diagram or H chart. But by sandwiching the curricula with picture books, you're giving students an opportunity to see a wider range of vocabulary concepts related to that theme in the curriculum.
That is really helpful. And, it's impossible to ask you to go to one author or one picture book recommendation What resources, though, publishing company wise, do you recommend? Like, how are you gathering these text ideas?
To gather the texts and ideas, I read thousands of picture books.
I know.
So my go-to place is the library. I'm very fortunate that I have our local public library right here within walking distance, and they pull books for me all the time. I think you have to know books to be able to strategically select them for those different experiences. I try, on my website, I have book lists.
You
I
do.
mean, I try to support teachers in that work as much as I can. But I think you have to read the books.
Yeah. And I'm wondering too, like, I'm just thinking of grade level planning time and teachers, their prep is so sacred. But oh my gosh, this work is so worthy. And so even if you take like 10 minutes of a prep and each read different picture books and then share with each other, it's really joyful, first of all. And second of
Mhm.
all, you build that little curated library for yourselves as a grade level too. So I could picture that happening. And just we need as much joy as possible these days, Maria.
Yes, and I
Um,
call that paperbook PD.
yes.
So there's a little protocol for that on my website because
Ye
that's a great PD experience.
It is. I what I will do, listeners, just make sure you know, I will tuck in your website links, Maria. I will put in links to your books and resources. Your website is magnificent. I also was saying to you, I'm loving following you on social because you're doing these little reels of goodness. And I'm saving every single one of them in 60 seconds that keeps me going and plants seeds. So please keep doing those reels. Um,
All right,
yeah,
I will
yeah,
try.
keep doing it. So let's go now, since we have that bigger picture of Monday through Friday, what I'd love is if I'm sitting down to plan, I really want to be strategic. Every moment counts with kids. And so, what does it look like that I'm doing with the book before? Like, how can I interact with the cover? How am I capturing kids' intellect as I'm reading? And then, what do I do at the end?
All right, so before reading, the cover, as you said, is a great place to start. And when thinking about, as you're planning, what to notice on the cover, my answer would be everything. There is so much to notice on the cover, and not only on the cover, but the back cover, taking that book jacket and pulling it off and seeing if there's a case cover underneath. But once you've done that, you want to invite students into that conversation by asking, what do you notice? And how does what you've learned from exploring the cover and the back cover, how is that going to help to support you as you're reading the text between the covers?
Okay.
And during reading, because the magic of the read aloud is in the creation, the words and the illustrations that these wonderful creators have given us. So I don't want to interrupt the book too much with questions. So I try to plan 3 to 5 questions that are very focused on whatever the learning target is for that particular book. And I put those on sticky notes or put those in the book and just ask them. Now, oftentimes we know that students noticing and questions will lead you in a different direction, and sometimes we just go with that. And then after reading, what happens when you close the book? Sometimes nothing, sometimes silence as students take in what just happened in that book. Sometimes students clap, but the after reading questions are really, when you prepare those, you want to draw them back to that beginning purpose statement. Why are we reading this book together? And what have we learned from this experience?
Yeah. Yeah, it's also making me think that during the reading, those pause points, I appreciate so much that we do not want to be stopping on every page, even every other. I actually, in my time with K through 5 classrooms, I almost wait. There's a moment where it feels like they're bubbling, almost bursting to say something. And it would be negligent to not stop and hear what they're saying. So when you're even if you have multiple points mapped for yourself, it's okay to keep reading beyond if they're not quite there yet. Because when you have them talk and engage, you want them all like mostly there with you, ready. Um, and it's also okay, I think, to pause and offer wait time because our children need time to process just like we do. So just that's why it's so important that we read aloud to our children instead of pop a book up on the screen behind and have someone else read. I keep going back to a moment, Maria, at NCTE when you first of all pulled the jacket off and there was this gorgeous book cover and you actually had to open the whole book up because the art covered the front and back. But then you also did take the time to say, a lot of these curricula options come with a video where you can just press play. And there's such value in a grown up reading aloud to children. Can you just illuminate that a little bit more? Like, why? Why do we need to read aloud to kids?
I think we need to read aloud real books because, as you just said, you can explore a real book in your hands with children close by, and it develops a bond that the video read aloud does not give you. Every time you sit down and read aloud with students, you're creating this connection among students themselves and with you and the students. And as far as research goes, I could go on forever about the research proven benefits of reading aloud books with kids. And so I think we can't let that slip away.
No, we can't. And even, I mean, we're speaking for teachers right now, but holy cow, for caregivers as well, reading aloud when your children, before they're even born, reading aloud, building that library. And it's just that idea of vocabulary, enriching development it's everything for kids to be exposed. I go back, Maria, I remember when I first moved to Ithaca, Jim Trelease came and
Oh yes,
presented at
yes.
Cornell, and I have the
Yep.
signed copy of the Read Aloud Handbook. I thought, "Oh my goodness." And just hearing the significance of children being, steeped in language around them before they are even saying their first word, it's so important. Um, so then let's talk vocabulary, because how are you selecting certain vocabulary or terms or phrases to highlight when you're reading aloud?
Um, Prior to the read aloud, when I'm looking at a picture book, I'm thinking about three keywords in each picture book. And I learned that from Isabel Beck and her colleagues, just thinking about those tier two words. So, words that students can define or describe using concepts they already know,
Okay.
and those words that they're going to see in many of the books that they'll be reading. And so I also look at the words if once I found those tier two words to see if they're repeated in the text or if students can define them using the context of the sentence that they appear in or the pictures that are with them. So just really thinking about the words that are going to give them the most utility,
Yeah.
words with the most utility.
I love that, and then I think too, helping them transfer and practice applying those words during writing workshop
Mhm.
or that writing time of day, and so there's this beautiful thread from phonics into shared reading that we're bridging, and then also thinking of read aloud vocabulary into just oral language usage, but also writing. These parts of our day are not silos, and we,
Right.
I think, silo them unintentionally for children, but the more we break those barriers down, our children see those threads connecting for them, and it's just endless possibilities, and again, we need more joy, and you can see our faces if you're watching, like, we love this
Yeah.
because we see children thriving and just feeling successful and joyful in the stories of characters that are like them. So then how do we save our read alouds? Because if we're saying Monday, we're introducing a read aloud potentially, and I appreciate Monday, Friday, but as a teacher, I read aloud every day. I
Mhm.
read different picture books, multiple throughout the day, because we make time for what we value, but also, I think it's hard for teachers right now because even if you do value read aloud, your time, you are being told often to do something that may not match your values.
The Monday, Friday would only be if you're really struggling to fit that in
Yes,
with a published curriculum like you. I mean, I read aloud 3 to 5 picture books a day.
right.
Every day I kept track, kept a read aloud tally. So I'm a huge proponent of a lot more read aloud than that. How do we strategically savor? One thing I want to be clear about, so the read alouds that we've been discussing today are joyful yet pre-planned. And many times we might just pull a book off the shelf and read aloud for pure joy. But in our days, we really have to have these strategically planned interactive read alouds. And so, how do I strategically savor? And that's by knowing the book. So I have to, as we talked about, go in and really know that book. And that is the work that I've done in a lot of my books, spent time getting to know that book so that I can match that book to my curriculum, my standards, and also so I can, not that I want to lead students' conversations because they're going to take it where they want to go, but so I can kind of bring those conversations back to that learning target. So I think we strategically savor by really knowing the book and making a clear plan for how we might do that interactive read aloud.
Well, and I appreciate that because there is a difference between leading and facilitating, I think. And so that facilitation is drawing the learning out, drawing the conversation out, making sure that conversation is balanced and we're hearing all voices and, navigating turn and talk versus that pensive, just one by one. So, yeah, everything you're saying is just so, so critical and important. And then to wrap part two, Maria, I really would love to know what are your dreams and hopes for the future of Read Aloud? What advice would you give to a teacher tomorrow or for Monday planning Read Aloud instruction?
I think what I would say to teachers is when you pick up a picture book that you love and bring students close to you and read that picture book, you're giving them a gift. And that gift is, you know, obviously the skills and strategies that they're learning, but that shared experience of conversing about a book is so powerful. So, my dream for the future is that we are reading aloud in every single classroom, every single day, and hopefully more than once a day.
I dream of the same, and, I appreciate you. I appreciate the legacy that you have crafted and created, that will just follow you for many, many years to come, and your dedication, endless dedication to children is just it's spectacular. So I am so happy to have captured your brilliance in a conversation, and, just thank you, Maria. I appreciate you so
Oh, you're
much.
welcome, Susie.
Yeah.
This was wonderful. It's always great to chat with you and to talk about our favorite topics.
Yes, yes. All right. Take care, friend. Okay, can we just take a moment? Maria just reminded us why we became teachers in the first place. That connection, that bond, that moment when you're holding a book and a child's eyes light up and you think, this is why I'm here. I hope you caught Maria's Monday and Friday sandwich strategy. Start the week with a picture book that introduces your theme. Follow your curriculum Tuesday through Thursday, and then end Friday with a comparison text. It's so simple, and yet it's so powerful because it gives you a way to honor what you know kids need while still doing what you're being asked to do. Most importantly, we need to follow our curriculum options with integrity, not just fidelity. Here's what I hope you may try this week. Choose one picture book you love. Read it across multiple days instead of one sitting based on your time limits. Plan just 3 to 5 strategic questions instead of stopping on every page. Notice what happens when you give your students time to sit with a story, to return to it, to let it marinate. And then, and this is important, share what you notice with a colleague. Pull them aside at lunch or during planning and let them know what you tried based on this episode. That's how we change the culture in our schools. We take risks, we try new things, and then we share how it went. Next week, I have another incredible conversation coming your way. I'm talking with kindergarten teacher Katie Kier about Writer's Play Shop and how she transforms 5-year-olds into confident authors from day one. No prompts needed. If you teach kindergarten or early elementary, you are not going to want to miss this conversation. Until then, go read aloud to your kids. Hold those books in your hands. Create those connections. And remember, this work matters. Schoolutions Teaching Strategies is created, produced, and edited by me, Olivia Wall. Thank you to my older son, Benjamin, who created the music playing in the background. You can follow and listen to Schoolutions wherever you get your podcasts, or subscribe to never miss an episode and watch on YouTube. Thank you again to my guest, Maria Walther, for helping us re-envision and center the power of shared reading and read aloud as practices within our classrooms. If this episode helped you in any way, share it. Tag someone who needs to hear it. Leave a review so other educators and caregivers can find it. And check out the show notes for links to Maria's website and other resources we talked about. Don't forget to send me an email at schoolutionspodcast@gmail.com to let me know what you're excited to try next. And tune in every Monday and Friday for part 1 and part 2 of my guest conversations with the best research-backed coaching and teaching strategies that you can apply right away to better the lives of the children in your care. Look for your 60-second bite-sized piece of learning on Wednesdays from our conversation to share with a colleague. Take care, and thank you for forever getting better with me. See you next week.